everyone, Fiction Ape here, with a Berserk review. This is the first time I'm actually being able to do a Berserk chapter in the channel, which is exciting. I don't know if you guys if you read Berserk, you know these chapters aren't easy to come by. They kind of come in like months or years apart, and this has been a very, very fruitful year for Berserk fans. We got 3 chapters this year, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, this was chapter 362. I kind of forgot that I had a channel because I got so excited when this chapter came out, and I read it already before the video. But there is so much to unpack, and I just want to give my thoughts and theories to you guys, and yeah, just bring it out here. Oh my god, that was so I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm so excited. Basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do a really quick reread, and I'm gonna time lapse it to make it more seamless and you guys have to wait less time, and then I'm gonna write some notes down and tell you guys everything that I thought about the chapter. I am gonna put a timestamp on this one just in case you don't want to look at little time lapse, but I'm gonna speed it up so much that it's gonna be 10 seconds at most. But yeah, this chapter was awesome, so let's get right into it. And I will stop this time lapse, of course, if I have any new comments to make while I'm reading. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm just finished my reread. It was pretty quick actually, but I did notice a lot more stuff that I had not noticed the first time. So I'm gonna go through it with you guys. I have plenty of theories. I hope none of them was too stupid. But yeah, let's get right into it. So basically the chapter goes over Skull Knight's memories, and that's basically the first time that we got to experience firsthand his life in any way, from what I recall. But we basically know that he's the Great King Berserk, who was the guy that created the first big empire in the Berserk universe. But now we know a little bit more about him as a person. So basically, according to the statements earlier in the chapter, Skull Knight was consumed by the armor, and we're not exactly sure what that means. But by the name of the chapter, Phantasm, it might imply that he's some sort of spectral being. That, I mean, we kind of knew that, but basically that his soul remained while his body is completely consumed and gone from this world. How this happens, we're not really sure, but that might be something that happens to Guts if he continues to use the armor for too long. Another thing that we do notice is that I actually hadn't noticed this in my first read. I kind of read so fast that I missed this detail, but Skull Knight survived an eclipse as well, just like Guts. This is pretty obviously meant to be an eclipse as well, though it's a little bit different from the one that we saw in the Golden Age. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the vortex. The entire world is warped, and here is all the monsters he had to face until he finally gets to the old roster of the God Hand. But what really interests me with this is that only Void is recognizable from the current hot roster, matching it up with this one. So was Skull Knight able to kill 4 God Hand members? That's something that is up in the air. We don't know that for a fact right now, but if that is the case, that may as well change the game for Berserk really strongly, because that means Guts does have indeed a fighting chance if he has the Berserker armor, and I'm guessing he's gonna get some sort of a power up from Skull Knight. But that's actually really interesting because, I mean, at this point, at least for me, Guts had no fighting chance whatsoever against those guys. But this might prove us wrong. So yeah, this was really exciting to see. I thought this guy was Ganishka. He looks a little bit like him, but no, he's not. I looked up the design. It's not super similar besides the beard. Another thing that I noticed is that they mention here that the memories seem to resonate with Guts. And besides the obvious fact that this, also the next page right here, is meant to imply parallels, or maybe that they're going down the same path, I really was interested by this page right here. Now, this page here shows what presumably is Skull Knight's or Gaiseric's back in the time lover, and we see something very interesting. The brand of sacrifice here on her shoulder. Now, at first glance, that was all I thought of, and then I immediately went back and was like, holy fuck, that's gonna be like a parallel to Guts. Casca may end up dying, which leads Guts to fall down the same dark path that Gaiseric went. But after I stopped and I started to look at everything else, I have a theory that this may have been an elf princess of some sort. Mostly because of her adornment and her outfit, especially this right here in the middle. This remind me of either like a mix of a mermaid with a fairy, and I haven't looked at a picture yet, but she reminds me a little bit of the Fairy Queen. Not exactly, but I guess the hair. No, never mind. That's a reach. But yeah, that's a reach. Sorry, I just looked at her. But this, and she dies right here. So here's the thing: she dies, and then we see here the brand of sacrifice in fire on the earth, which is basically what happened in the Conviction arc. So this just draws many more parallels that were already there. And here's what this leads me to believe. I think Skull Knight is gonna try to dissuade Guts from following the God Hand and trying to kill them, because he doesn't want anyone else to have to go through what he went through. But I think Casca is still gonna end up dying, and that is gonna push Guts over the edge and bring him back into his like full revenge and like make him go all. I don't see Berserk having any sort of a happy ending, and I don't see the conflict between Guts and the God Hand going unconcluded. So I feel like this might end up happening. And the reason why I think Guts will listen to Skull Knight if he tells him his story is because Guts is in a place in the story that he's like more concerned with Casca than his revenge. He's grown past the mindless revenge place that he was in originally. Though, of course, I feel like given the chance, if Griffith was powerless in front of him, he would still slay him. But I don't think he would risk anything that he's earned so far for it anymore. So I think he's going to accept the advice, not go after the God Hand anymore, but Casca's still going to inevitably die, which will bring him back into that world. That is just a little theory. Another thing that I noticed was that Guts right here says a line that really feels like foreshadowing, because he says that right now, that was for sure, that was the end. And I don't know, this gives me at least hope that the story will conclude, at least in the foreseeable, probably maybe 10 years, if we're lucky. I don't know, it just seems like it could be foreshadowing. Of course, Skull Knight comes right after and he tells him that that was the end of that was his end. But I feel like something similar might happen to Guts. I mean, it's gonna be history repeating itself, of course. But now that brings us to something awesome. Though the chapter ends right here, we're finally gonna get like a proper Skull Knight backstory, I believe, in whenever the next chapter comes out. But I really like that this is him saying that this was the end of a foolish king and the beginning of a dead man stalking the night. Because honestly, if you think about it, like Guts in the Conviction like era was pretty much that. He was like a man who was dead inside, trying to like kill monsters and stalking the night just to get away from his feelings. So I feel like the parallels are all there, and I just think that right now is when Gaiseric is gonna be like, dude, it's not worth it. Like, just live your life normally. And yeah, I don't know. I do want to say the one thing that caught my eye, even though my elf theory was kind of fell short because she does look nothing like the elf queen. Besides the necklace, of course, and like the very flowery adornment, I suppose. This might have something to do with the fact that earlier on in the series, I don't remember exactly the chapter, hopefully I find it to put it on the screen, they mentioned how Guts has like a really big connection to the elves, so maybe this brings up another connection to Skull Knight in a way that we don't know. I hope it's not something like as obvious as like, oh, Skull Knight was actually Guts' father, or the reincarnation of Guts. I mean, we know how Guts was born, so those things kind of fall short. But the parallels are there, and the parallels are awesome, and I love this type of writing, so I'm really excited for what's to come forward from Berserk. I mean, the chapter was pretty short, but the art was phenomenal, and it gave us a lot of room for like theorizing, for talking about the chapter, and I really love to see it. Berserk is one of my easily all-time favorites, so anytime there's a chapter, I'm definitely going to feast right on it and tell you my thoughts. But anyways, thank you guys for watching until the end. These were my thoughts on Berserk chapter 361. I'll catch you guys next time. Fiction Ape, out the gate. When I look at you in your eyes.